What makes a great vineyard? Well, that's a great question. There are a number of things that go into making a great vineyard and separating a good vineyard from a great one. First and foremost would be climate. Climate has a big impact on all the phenological processes that happen in the vineyard, from bloom, veraison to harvest, and the right climate really has to be matched to the right variety. The three most important factors when determining a good or a great vineyard site would be climate, soil, management decisions. But of those three things, climate is absolutely the most important. Where you choose to plant your vineyard is the most important decision because the weather patterns that you're going to have throughout the course of that vineyard's life. Climate is the only thing you cannot control in grape growing and winemaking. It is the absolute most important factor when choosing a vineyard location for your varieties. Some other things that we consider when choosing a vineyard site would be slope. A south-facing slope is going to collect much more sunlight and heat that will have more ripening ability for whatever variety we choose to plant there. Conversely, a north-facing slope is going to be much cooler. One of the ways elevation influences wine quality is through temperature. What we see at higher elevations is cooler daytime temperatures and warmer nighttime temperatures compared to valley floor locations. All of our vineyards at Rodney Strong are certified sustainable. Every decision we make in the vineyard not only takes into account the environment, but the community at large as well.
The most important decision we make as winemakers is when to pick the grapes. Once that decision is made, it sets everything else in motion. After the grapes make it to the winery, we put them through a series of processes. The first and foremost is getting them pulled off of their stems and getting them into the tank. After they're pulled off their stems, we put the grapes through a special piece of equipment called an optical sorter. This equipment allows us to pull out all of the things we don't want, raisins and leaves and little bits of stem. This technology is fairly new and is very expensive, but helps us achieve our ultimate goal of making world-class wine. After the grapes are in the tank, they then go through a process of fermentation. That is when the yeast eat sugar and produce alcohol. But during this process, we're also getting a bunch of the flavor and the mouthfeel and all the other beautiful things that make wine special. In order to help achieve these goals, we put the wine through something called a pump over. And it's as simple as pulling the juice from the bottom of the tank and pumping it over to the top of the tank to wet all those skins, and what's called the cap that will eventually make it into the wine are tied up in those skins and seeds and pulp. And by constantly putting that fresh juice over those skins, it helps us extract or pull out all of those yummy flavors and textures that we love so much. So after this fermentation is complete, typically approximately 21 days from the time we pick the grapes, we will then drain off all of that wine. At this point, it's no longer juice. We've now fermented everything, and what we have is very young, very raw wine. Now, once we drain it off, which is the process of literally opening our valve and letting gravity work its magic, pulling out all this beautiful, beautiful wine, we then put it into great oak barrels. This is a process where we keep every lot separate, and a lot can be as little as 1 barrel or as many as 100 barrels. And it really just depends on what we chose to do in the vineyard when we made that ultimate picking decision. After the wine is put into barrels and is aged, we winemakers get to have the fun of making the blend. Blending wine is as simple as pulling samples from all of our different lots and the different varietals we make, putting them onto a table and tasting. We taste and taste, and then we assemble our favorite lots into what becomes our master blend, or the wine that makes it into the bottle. Bottling is the process of moving wine from a bulk state or gallons in a tank into the individual bottles that will eventually make it to the store shelves and to your dinner tables. Quality starts in the vineyard. We need great grapes to make great wine, and the collaboration between Ryan Decker and myself and the Vineyards lays the foundation for the ultimate quality in the bottle. This is our winemaking story from the grape to the glass. Rodney Strong, committed to community since 1959.